Okay, howdy. Welcome back. Here we go. Remember, Charlie's pretty quiet, a little bored. Remember, he's only 15, so you're supposed to be 18 to be a soldier, so he's a little immature. He's kind of looking for a little excitement, right? And I think he's going to get some today. Now, today's battle is one of the first battles of the Civil War. It's in a place called Manassas Junction, or Bull Run Creek. And it's here in Virginia where it took place. So, remember, he took the train, or took the steamboat from Fort Snelling down to La Crosse, Wisconsin. He jumped on a train, went down through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and in Maryland. And we got that sweet roll. Here's our capital city, Washington, D.C. Now he's down here in Virginia, right here, a place called Manassas, or Bull Run Creek. Manassas Junction. It's literally a junction of some roads, and next to a creek called Bull Run. Again, not far from Washington, D.C., or Richmond, Virginia, which was the Confederate capital. Okay, so that's the first battle site. So here we go. This is going to be cool. Alrighty. Make it stop now, Charlie thought, or thought he was thinking, until he realized he was screaming it. Make it all stop now. Death was everywhere. Nowhere. Bullets flew past him with evil little snaps and snickers as they cut the air. Next to him, Massey's head suddenly left his body and disappeared, taken by a cannon round that then went through an officer's horse end to end before plowing into the ground. Sorry about that, people. Kind of a visual. This can't be, he thought. I can't be here. This is all a mistake, a terrible mistake. I'm not supposed to be here. He had forgotten to fire. Imagine that. He's in the middle of a battle. People are dying all around him, and he forgets to fire. The officers had marched them out into a field in perfect order and told them where to aim and fire, and he had raised his rifle, and then the whole world had come at him. The rebel soldiers were up a shallow grade 100 yards away, behind some fallen trees, and they had opened on Charlie and the others before anyone could fire. It was like a blade cutting grain. He heard the bullets hitting the men, little thunk slaps, and saw the men falling. Some of them screamed as they fell. Most were silent. Many were dead before they hit the ground. Many were torn apart, hit 10 or 12 or more times before they had time to drop. The men left standing with Charlie fired. Then the survivors of the round reloaded and fired again. And Charlie aimed in the general direction of the rebels, and he pulled his trigger, firing blind. The black powder smoke clouded from the rifles and the rebel guns on the hill, and it was impossible to see or understand anything. I don't know anything, Charlie thought. The words jerked through his mind before he thought them. Somebody screamed over the sound of the gunfire, and the man next to Charlie turned to the rear and began walking away, as calm as if he was going for a stroll in the park. His rifle at right shoulder heft. Charlie followed him, dragging his own rifle along the ground. He must know something I don't know, he thought. Must have heard something. But the man hadn't gone 4 steps before he was struck in the back several times and dropped on his face. Bullets filled the air. Charlie heard them going past his ears like horizontal hail. And he decided to lie down. If he didn't lie down, he would be hit, ripped, torn to pieces. It was only slightly better on the ground. He heard the same sounds, the same bullets, but The bodies in front of him protected him. He could hear bullets hitting them. 2 bullets met directly in front of his eyes, jammed together, and fell to the ground as one. That sight was more horrifying than the death he'd seen. How many bullets, he thought, would have to be flying around for 2 of them to collide in midair? I want you to think about that for a second, people. He's lying on the ground. He sees this happening. I don't know about you. This book is historical fiction. It means it's historically accurate, but some of it, it's not 100% accurate. Some of it has been made up. This part is true. It really did happen. Can you imagine what is the statistical probability of 2 bullets firing and hitting in midair and dropping to the ground? Can't be that great. Something jerked at his foot, pulling it sideways. He was sure he'd been hit. Didn't see how it could be possible to keep from being hit. But when he turned, he saw Lieutenant Olafson tugging at his leg. The officer had been hit in his left upper arm. He was still holding a saber in his left hand and was jerking at Charlie with his right. "Get up, boy! We're to fall back!" The cords in his neck bulged with the strain of screaming over the noise. "Back?" "In good order. We're to fall back to the trees. Come on, son, up now and move. Help some of the others." Somehow Charlie's arms worked to push him off the ground. He stood and started walking when everything in him wanted to run. Started walking in good order, even when the lieutenant was hit in the chest and head and went down. Obviously finished. But with the legs still moving, still pumping, still pushing the dying body around and around on the ground. Charlie started walking, not running, even when his mind prayed to God, told God, demanded of God. "I am not supposed to see this, God. No person is supposed to see this. How can you let this happen?" Charlie walked amid the explosions of shot and the ripping of bullets until he was clear of the smoke and saw other men walking with him. Impossible, he thought, that they could walk as they did, in rank. Impossible that they could have lived through what had come at them, was still coming at them. Many of the men crowded as they moved, as if in a heavy rain, and Charlie found himself doing the same. And when he was still some 20 yards from the line of trees ahead, he crouched more and then ran, could not stop himself from running, until he was there, in the trees, a large maple at his back, and finally sucking air until his lungs seemed to be on fire. Finally, he stopped and he leaned over, his hands on his knees, and vomited, heaving until he was empty, and then heaving more until he felt as if his stomach would come up, until he felt his very soul would leave him. Into chapter 4, Bull Run. I want to share something with you if I could real quick. This battlefield they were at, this basically, the North lost this battle at Bull Run. Basically, they were on a shallow grade, so the North be down here, and the Southern soldiers will be up on kind of a hill. And that's a major advantage, because much easier to fire down than fire up. And of course, there's a bunch of trees behind Charlie, and that's where he ran to. And in the middle there, that would be what's called a meadow. So, hope you're enjoying this. That's the end of chapter 4. We'll see you on chapter 5. Have a good one, people.